All right, well, I've waited 10 seconds to see if this thing will actually go up. I don't know if it is or not. I might see some viewers pop on here shortly. It's very early in the morning. Well, depends on where you are, I guess. It's the 29th of May, Sunday. There we go. Got somebody here. And Sunday morning. It's about, well, it's coming up on 0700 hours this morning. Hi, Michael Friend. Uh, Everybody else there. It's raining here. It's funny in this section of the country. I can never remember a Memorial Day weekend that the weather was just abysmal. It just, people wanting to go to the lakes, to the pools, and all that, and it's just always cold and kind of nasty. It's never quite as warm as people would anticipate. Anyway, good morning. Thank you for coming in. Uh, I'm not going to be here too long this morning. I realize that I have not talked about the situation in Europe at this point for a number of days in any detail. And yeah, picnicking is out wide awake, especially today. It's If you listen, you might even hear the rain hitting the roof of the car. So anyway, uh, as I've said for a very long time, our governments are our enemies. They have us, the little people, fighting with each other, and it's quite obvious at this point, especially after what happened that I addressed in my last video about the buffaloes and the Lone Rangers. When I read between the lines, Mitch McConnell was right up there saying, "Oh yes, we've got to work with the people across the aisle and come up with some further restrictions on rights." The last time I checked, if you're in a place, they're required to protect you. The police, by Congress or by Supreme Court decision, which isn't law, but it's how they do things, say the police aren't obligated to protect you. And I learned that a long time ago. Police are about order maintenance and about protecting the establishment more than protecting the individual citizen. Now, when I was a police officer, that's not how I looked at it. My history pretty well shows that I went after the bad cops and the bad soldiers as well. But at any rate, unfortunately, they don't protect you, which of course they say, well, the police are there to protect you. Well, they can't. And the backside to a lot of these failing flogs, read between the lines. Okay, I'm not going to call it what it actually is. The FFs, the fail frogs, the double side that never gets, well, it is talked about. I see a few people raising it up. Dana Leash with the NRA, for instance, people like that. But what they never show in these FFs is that when these shootings occur, the cops are never around to protect you, and even if they are, they refuse to do so. Either they're told to not do it, or they're cowards. Where I grew up, we used to have a thing. I won't call the city what it was, but when we saw the cops going code 3 in a direction, let's say going east, we knew that they were running away from the problem somewhere west. That was a standing joke, but it was very true in those days, and I imagine even more so today. I'm not saying there aren't courageous police officers and sheriffs and all that. I'm saying that the system is corrupt, even at that level. Well, anyway, so the other side of this thing is that if you're in a place and they can't protect you, then you have the God-given and constitutionally recognized and protected right of self-defense. And a right is a responsibility. In other words, your ability to respond. And I've said that before. And when they try to take that away from you, then they have to be able to absolutely protect you 100%, which of course they can't do. So this whole thing is a lie to get us prepared, as most of us realize, a lie to get us prepared for the totalitarian tyranny that is being set up everywhere. The United States should be the bastion of individual liberty. The criminals should be punished. those in the FBI and the CIA that set up these FFs should be punished. But of course, they're doing the bidding of their masters, so, and they are the masters, actually. As I've said, the IC is our most dangerous domestic enemy. It's interesting that how many of these things occur. The feds are not far away, ever. And in this instance, the claim is, and of course, the truth of the matter of the Texas Ranger thing at this point, the Lone Rangers, the truth of the matter is still being hidden. We've gotten a lot of good information. Monograph's done a great job, as I said the other day. But the fact of the matter is, they will never let the truth out, because the truth is going to be that the establishment, in one way or another, either let it happen because they want it to, because of this agenda, or they actually caused it. And I'm leaning towards the latter at this point, just like I did with Las Vegas, just like I did with a number of other of these things. So at any rate, the government is at war with the people. That's what it all is. This whole thing in Davos is an example of that. I put up the situation, the clip from Twitter on Harari, showing that those are the types of people in your world leadership that were at Davos, and that apparently are even in our U.S. Congress, of course, in our Senate, and governorships, etc. They're fornicating with people like Harari for your destruction. They're being promised something, or they're being blackmailed, or both, and they would just as soon you and your family be destroyed than they lose their power. And I have said that for many, many years. They will destroy everything rather than losing their own power. They'll even take that bribe to do it. So McConnell going down and saying that it's time for Republicans to assist those on the other side of the aisle to come up with these new restrictions on our rights shows who he really works for, because the real obvious fix for these violent situations around the country are for the people, us, to be armed at all times. That's the truth. Yeah, sure, there are going to be some accidents. There are accidents with cars. And they're trying to take cars away from us now, too, of course. But at any rate, they'll never give you that resolution, that the way to solve the problem, because that threatens their power. And they are evil. Make no mistake about it. They are evil to the core. All right. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood I was still on that page. Let's go to Europe. We might as well go to Ukraine. We see some really bad things happening. I don't know that I can believe at all anything that the Ukrainian press comes out with. People say, well, you can't believe the Russians either. Well, frankly, the Russians have actually been pretty upfront with what their goals are. And unfortunately, what's happening is that the United States wants this to be a protracted, asymmetrical war after it leaves this high intensity that we're seeing now. And the claim is to take down Russia, to bleed Russia. No, it's to bleed you. Do you understand? It's to steal your treasure. It's to steal your sons and daughters. It's to destroy you. Do not join the military. And if you're in, find some way of getting out. The sooner the better. On the Ukrainian situation, again, I don't know. I don't want to say much here on that, because I don't want to put out too much information that may not turn out to be true. Poland is flexing its muscle. NATO better pull that Poland back, because if this thing that Poland is apparently talking about, if they do it, that's really bad. And of course, the situation with Finland and Sweden is absolutely absurd. But be that as it may, as I said from the beginning, Russia will kick our ass. Even though they're outnumbered NATO-wise, if all the NATO armies got together, including the U.S., and went against Russia, the real only benefit, if you can call it that, is the nuclear umbrella. Russia conventionally will kick NATO's ass, including the United States, and they're doing it in this proxy war. And I said that 4 months ago, right when this whole thing started, just before it started. I said, don't do this. You know, Look at NATO's military, our military, our special operations forces at this point are even decimated by this nonsense CRT and all those other things. Decimated. And of course, the requirement on getting the treatment, read between the lines, has either caused a lot of our good operators to leave or be forced out, even court-martialed. They're evil, ladies and gentlemen. They're destroying everything that protects you. Everything. So, Ukraine never has been winning. I was concerned initially, like I said, with the fact that I understood what the Russians were doing, but by the same token, I was concerned that they apparently were hesitating in attacking the rear echelons in western Ukraine, especially the supply lines. You can't wage a war and not go after the logistical trains, supply lines, and the reinforcements in the rear area. You just can't. It's going to be a problem. And that, I think, has been one of the difficulties. And that's why I said if Putin doesn't stop dilly-dallying and worrying about that, it's going to cause a problem, which it really has, because it's given NATO and the U.S. to come around and say, well, look, Russia's really weak. Russia's not weak. Their economy is better than ours by far. They have gas, ladies and gentlemen, that you're paying $5 and $6, $4.50, $5, $6 a gallon for. They're not doing that. Who's really weak? And then our lobotomized president, who's just a front man to take the fall, says in Japan that yes, this really is about the green transition. That's why we're pushing the gas prices up, to force this transition. These people in all manner of our lives, in every single nook and cranny, are concerned about transitioning us. Transitioning us. Whether it be sexual orientation, biological, economic, it really, I realize there are some problems with the capitalist system, but it's not the people. Other than that, they bit the apple that was presented to them, and they become over consumerized. And I've recognized that problem for a number of years, but they're not the problem. The problem is the robber barons, the NWO, the Klaus Schwabs, the Harry Carreri. That's it. You know who I'm talking about, Harari. We can't let them do this to us. The people have to put down their differences. They have to stop being played by these masters of destruction and divisiveness and just say no. And the states, and I realize the governorships, like I said, Governor Cox is a piece of crap in Utah. Governor Gordon in my Wyoming isn't much better. And they're Republicans in name only. And most of them are. Look at John Barrasso, the senator from Wyoming. That guy should be unseated just as much as Liz Cheney. He's a traitor to his own people. You know, back when they did the 17th Amendment and they made it so the states couldn't really control the senators if they're senators. It used to be, of course, you know, that the state legislature put the two senators into the Congress so that the state itself was represented. That was changed in the 17th Amendment, and there are arguments against and for that. But what it was really about is taking away state power, the balance of power, because now they don't answer to the state legislatures. They answer to the parties. Isn't that nice? Wickedness, evil. So, all of this is designed to destroy you. Well, getting back to the Ukraine thing, the Russians are making a lot of progress, and the propagandists in this country and in Europe and in many other places have been trying to say that that's not the case. But it was obvious what was going on. And apparently Russia did start taking out some of these supply trains in the western Ukraine in the rear areas. Not to the extent that I think that if they were really serious, they would need to. But they're not interested in taking the whole country. They never were. However, they might be being pushed into that, especially if Poland starts flexing a muscle. Poland will get its ass kicked. And then that'll be used by the West to see, look at the Russian aggression, forgetting everything that's happened since 1991, and then especially since 2014. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to find out about the coup that took place in 2014, the Minsk agreements, and the other agreements that U.S. and NATO have made and have violated in every turn. Well, I'm babbling now. Let me tell you what I've done. I have a lot of sources that I go to, and I like to give those to you, and I've done this before, but in the description box below are 3 links to YouTube channels. One's to the New Atlas channel that I've talked about quite a bit. That's Brian's. He's a former U.S. Marine who now lives in Thailand. He has a strong China bent, and I understand that. Part of it's where he is, okay? In Thailand, they're very supportive of China. I understand that. I understand he pushes China pretty hard and absolves them of a lot of what they do. I understand that. But he's very intelligent, and he understands the world political and military situation, especially what's going on in Ukraine. So that's why I suggest that you give him a follow, and you can keep up on things. His presentations usually go anywhere from, say, 10 minutes to, I've seen them as long as 45, considering the information he needs to put out. The other one is the Dryzone Report. He is a former U.S. Army intelligence NCO, I think. I don't think he was an officer. He may have been. But he speaks fluent Russian, which tells me that he probably went to the DLA, the Defense Language Institute in Monterey. I don't know all of his background, but I suspect he went to DLA and was an interpreter, or at least in signals or other type of intelligence of some sort. He's very good. He understands the tactical situation, and he'll give you a lot of good updates. And you can go and read all of these things or listen to his video reports. Now, he gets access to some really horrible looking pictures of especially what the Ukrainians have done to the Donbass people and also to Russian soldiers. We keep hearing about how bad Russia is doing war crimes. Well, I'll tell you what, Ukraine has been active at that since 2014, much, much worse. Now, I'm not saying that excuses anyone doing war crimes on the Russian side. What I'm telling you is that you're only getting one side of the story. Dryzone will show you that. Okay, very important. And he's very good. He has a very good delivery and an excellent understanding. So that's the second one. And the third one I have down there is Alexander Mercouris. I don't know what his background is, but I've listened to him enough now that I have a lot of trust in his ability to, he's not flamboyant, and he doesn't assume to know something when he doesn't. So he's very careful in his analyses. He's from Great Britain, and I think he's very good. Now, he will give you the longest videos normally. His videos are right around 40 minutes long. But if you want to get good information, these are 3 places that are really good to start. And they're saying the same thing that I said from the start, that Russia, even in this proxy war, will kick the West's ass. They'll set it up. They'll make sure that they get the battlefield the way they want it. Okay, the Russians will make sure of that. But they will do the job in the end. And there's nothing now at this point other than NATO totally committing to sending everything they've got, and the U.S. too, to Ukraine that's going to stop Russia from taking this. The problem, as I said before, is that then they want it to be, the U.S. wants it to be a protracted Afghanistan, get Russia involved in an extended asymmetrical war. But this is Europe. This isn't Afghanistan. And it's not going to work out that way for the U.S. It'll start that way, but Russia will clean house very quickly. And Milley's going to look like an ass, which he is anyway. And Austin. Okay, I've pontificated enough with you this morning. Buy guns, ammunition, get ready. Defy all these attacks on your Second Amendment rights. Defy them. Do not go along with them. Do everything you can to get around them. You have the responsibility, because nobody else is going to do it, to protect you and your family and your loved ones. No one else will do it. And these things in the Buffaloes and the Texas Rangers are amongst the proofs of that. Not counting, of course, LV and all that. LV was a different situation. Las Vegas was a different situation altogether. That I've told you what that was, and I'll just hit around it a little bit more now. That was a sacrifice to Moloch. And if you think about it, all of those people were basically conservatives, right? Probably even Republicans. What does Moloch want you to do? Moloch wants you to sacrifice your children to him. Not the enemy's children, your children. The Mayan priests wanted you people, to sacrifice your children to their God, to them. Las Vegas was a sacrifice by our elites, one of them in particular, and I'll just name him, Trump. He went along with this, to sacrifice his followers, his people, to the god Moloch, or whichever one he wants to call it, so that he could prove that he was capable of becoming a major leader in the world. Now, it looks like he isn't right now. His base is upset with him for a number of reasons. But don't kid yourselves, okay? This could turn around in a heartbeat. Biden's making a lot of people upset, and too many people are looking to Trump to fix it. Uh-oh. I'm just saying. You sacrifice your own children to Moloch, not your enemy's children. Think about it. That's all I got for you. Hope you have a great day. Again, don't forget Memorial Day, at least remembering your loved ones. The promise is we'll see them again. I know I look to that. In ending, don't forget the links in the description box below. Good sources of information. Those guys have been spot on the whole time. Take care.